Good morning. Welcome to Wednesday Morning Coffee with me. I am Jen. I have coffee. I made a latte this morning, and I'm sure it's tasty. I haven't tried it yet. Definitely tasty. I want to talk about boundaries and what they are and how to set them and all the rest of that, because I keep seeing over and over and over again since I've started working in the crypto space people who need more family time or who need this or who need that or mental health or reset or overwhelmed or overworked. Boundaries. Boundaries is the key to everything. So let's take a look here. It looks goofy. Let's do it that way. There, that looks better. What is a boundary? Okay. A boundary is a line that marks the limits of an area. It is a dividing line. Okay, well, that's a physical boundary, but it's also the same with a life boundary, a personal boundary. Oh, look, it's defining them here. Sometimes I swear this thing listens to me. Let's use Wikipedia. It should be relatively unbiased here. It's a bloody blah, blah, blah. Boundary is a metaphor. Inbounds is acceptable, out of bounds is unacceptable. Well, I'm not going to get that far into it. I think maybe I wanted something simpler than that. Yeah, that actually was not the explanation I was looking for. Maybe this is better. Boundaries are limits and rules we set for ourselves within relationships. A relationship is any interaction with another person. It is not necessarily romantic. It is not necessarily physical. It is any interaction with another person is a relationship. So now it's going into definitions of 3 different types of boundaries. I'm not going to categorize them. Either you have them or you don't. And if you have them, great, keep them. And if you don't, we're going to learn. This is super, super straightforward here. So healthy boundaries are when you value your own opinions, you don't compromise your values for others, you share personal information in an appropriate way, so no oversharing, no undersharing, you know your wants and needs and can communicate them clearly and directly. That part's not in there, but that's necessary. And you accept when others say no. So that sounds pretty good. I'm going to elaborate on that a little bit. I don't know if I value my own opinions. I have opinions. So I guess I have opinions and I'm confident sharing them. Does that mean I value them? Maybe. Let's just roll with that for now. Do I compromise my values for others? No. And the expression on my face is a perfect example of that. I will not compromise my values for other people. I am perfectly willing to listen. I am perfectly willing to come to a compromise if an actual compromise is necessary, but I'm not compromising my values. If I have a value of be kind to people and somebody's saying, well, this is a crappy situation and we have to be unkind, I'm still going to be kind. It'll just be awkward and uncomfortable. So I'm not compromising my values. Shares personal information in an appropriate way, does not over or undershare. Okay, well, here's a test for that. In 2 minutes or less, can anyone who's watching find me on the internet and tell me where I live? If you can do that in 2 minutes or less, then I am oversharing. Like if you can find an actual map with where I live, then I've overshared somewhere. If you can't, I'm doing well. That's kind of how that boils down to it. For contrast, for an example, there have been many times when I've been able to find people on the internet very quickly. I'm in Canada. Yes, I am. Canada's huge. Cool. Okay. Well, I'm good with that. I'm even okay if you narrow it down to my city. There are enough people here that I don't think you'd find me that easily. Let's see here. So knows personal wants and needs and can communicate them clearly and directly. And I've added that last part because I think that's really, really important. Whatever your personal wants and needs are, you have to be able to communicate them clearly and directly Otherwise, nobody will know what your boundary actually is. People are going to walk all over your boundary because they don't know what it is. And if you're communicating indirectly, it's in some cultures it's the thing to do. In my culture, it's rude. So, and I understand there are cultural differences at play here. And so, if I'm trying to give advice for what works for me, and you're listening thinking, well, that's culturally inappropriate here, then go with what you know. So don't assume that my way is the highway. I don't know everybody's culture. So I would say communicate them clearly and directly. So if my need is to pick up the kids from school almost every day, then when I walk into a new job, I'm going to say my office hours are from 9 o'clock to 2:30. I pick up the kids from school and I drop them off in the mornings. The end. And if that doesn't work for them, they'll say so. And then if we have to negotiate, maybe we negotiate. And okay. But I've started out with a very clear want and need. If I need more family time, like let's say we're doing Gratitude Sundays. I love Gratitude Sundays, and I occasionally take a Sunday off because I need family time. And it's as simple as saying, I love you guys, I really need some family time. I'm taking today off. That's it. If there's a problem with that, then the problem is not with me as the person. The problem is with the boundary or the situation. So that's the other thing. When you're first doing things like this, people are going to initially, not always, but sometimes push back. So let's say we're talking about a work situation and I say, hey, I'm usually available on Sunday mornings, but this week I'm not. I need family time. And let's say the other people are all like, no, you can't. No, we had this agreement. This is what we're doing. You can't just do that. Well, okay. Can they reasonably cover you? If the answer is yes, then they shouldn't protest. If they can't reasonably find someone to fill your spot, then it needed to be communicated better. If you want a Sunday off let's say you want 3 weeks with Sundays on and 1 week with Sundays off, communicate it. Okay, great. I'm going to be there today. And then starting next week, I'm taking every third Sunday off. Done. So that's how clear boundaries need to be. But also with work, with the pandemic, we've been doing a lot of working from home. And there have been a couple of things that I've seen come up, which is a lot of people who are working from home and a lot of a rise in mental health issues has been making the news. So there are a couple of cases where that could come into play that I can think of off the top of my head. There are probably 100 more, but the two that come to my mind really easily are my family is not respecting my work boundaries and my work isn't respecting my family boundaries. So let's take a look at that. And I don't have a nice graphic here, but there's accepting when others say no. So let's start with that. If I am, let's say I have my family and I'm going to be working and my work is going to conflict with my normal family time, maybe I normally do something with the kids after school, like homework. And maybe today somebody said, hey, Jen, can you do a live stream at 3 o'clock? And I'm like, I guess. Then I have to present that to my family. So I present that to my family and I say, hey, family, so somebody wants me to do a 3 o'clock live stream. How do you feel about that? And they say, no, that's not working. We have this plan, we have this thing we do, and that's what we're doing. Then I have to listen to that and go back to my people and talk it out and figure something out. If somebody says no, another good example would be if I expect that my family will always leave me alone Sunday mornings when I do gratitude, and they come up to me and they're like, you know what? Boundary time. No, you can't have all those Sundays. We like you. We want to spend time with you. No. Then I have to think about my life and listen to them and try to come up with something better. So those are the examples I can think of. Another no would be if let's say somebody is asking you to do something you feel uncomfortable with. So somebody says, hey, I'm just going to pull this example up, and this isn't necessarily a reflection of my honest opinion right now of the matter, because this is an example of something that came up this morning. Hey, you should list your new crypto on this decentralized exchange because reasons. I'm like, I don't really understand those reasons, and I kind of feel uncomfortable about that. So let's say I say no, then my person has to accept that. And they might not like it. But if I say, no, this doesn't work with my objective of whatever, then that's an example. Another one might be, let's say you start dating somebody and it's a new relationship and you're like a week in and they're like, hey, so I told my parents we'd come over for dinner on Friday. And you're like, what? I thought I was your bag maid. Just as an example. And, I'm literally making this up as I go. So you're like, no, I'm not comfortable with that at all. So then your partner has a choice. Either they accept your no or they get out. In that case, like that one to me is a do not cross boundary. It's not a negotiation. It's either we talk about it till we get to a comfortable place or it's a hard no. Most of my hard no's would be relating to family. If I, for example, say on Saturday, I'm celebrating my son's birthday. On Saturday, I'm celebrating my son's birthday. And, if you would like to do something else with me, the answer is no. Saturday, my answers are normally no for things like work anyway, but it's no. I have a plan. That's what I'm doing. But that's, so yeah, so that boundaries. But Jen, I don't have enough family time, and my work is always asking me to do things. And I always say yes because I like my work, but I also like my family. How do I stop this endless cycle of being overwhelmed? Schedule yourself in. Visual things are super helpful. I can't show you my schedule because it's got a whole bunch of personal information on it, but let's take a look here at daily planner. No, let's do a weekly planner. And let's look at a picture here. So let's pick, I don't know, this one looks mediocre enough. Let's look at that. Okay, so it's got a weekly plan and it's got it drawn out there. It has goals, it has everything else that needs to go there. It has a space for spot for next week. And then it has the days. It has Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday and Sunday are really small, which I don't like. If it were me, those would be equal sizes, but that's okay. So you have a certain amount of space in there. And in that certain amount of space, you put down all the things you need to do. But before you get started, if you are trying to get more family time in there, you write in your family time first. So prioritize your top 3 goals. Goal number 1, family time. Goal number 2, don't feel overwhelmed by work. Goal number 3, get out and go for a walk every day. Okay, great. So 2 and 3 need to be switched. Go for a walk every day and family time. So every day, the first thing I'm going to do is write in all the times I have family time. So first thing in the morning, get kids to school. And the time I get home, I don't know, 9 o'clock. And later in the day, 2:30, go get kids from school. And then family time right through until about 8:30 in the evening. And I'm going to write that down every day, every single day. Then I'm also going to I've got go for a walk in there. So maybe at lunchtime, noon, go for a walk. So I'm going to put that in every single day. Then what you'll discover is that you only have so much space left in your day. Then you can put in things like work or getting groceries or whatever else is on the everything else list. Those things go in the free spaces. And then you repeat it. And if somebody says, oh, hey, I need you to do that thing, you can be like, I'm sorry, I don't have room in my schedule. You don't even have to say I'm sorry if you don't want to. You can just say, I don't have room in my schedule. So I don't have room in my schedule. And I just realized this popped open in a new tab and it's not even showing you the thing I wanted it to. So let me put that over here then. I was looking at this thing right here. Is it going to boop up? It is. This one. So that's what I'm talking about. Make yourself reasonable sized squares and fill them up with your stuff. Put the most important stuff down first. Everything else goes after. And initially, if this is completely new to you, initially people will probably give you a little bit of pushback. But I need this thing done by blah, blah, blah. I don't have that much time in my day. That's it. That's the conversation. Monday is full. Tuesday is full. Wednesday is full. Thursday is full. I can start it on Friday. If I plan ahead for next week, it might be doable by Thursday. That's the conversation. So this is where that oversharing and undersharing comes into play. I don't have to say why I don't have time on my schedule. That's my information. I don't have to say that I feel bad about it. I might, but I don't have to say that, because that's nobody's business but mine. Those are my feelings. And if I put those feelings out there, if I'm like, I'm sorry, I really don't have time, I'm going to get a much different reaction than if I just say, I'm booked until Friday. I'm booked until Friday, and then silence is putting the power in your hands. I'm sorry, I can't really get started until Friday. I've got a lot going on. I'm changing my schedule around. No, they don't care. They want to know when you can get the thing done. So keep it simple, keep it straightforward, be direct. Unless you're in a situation, again, where it might be culturally inappropriate. If it's culturally inappropriate, work with your culture. I am not a cultural expert. I'm an expert on very direct communication and setting boundaries. So let's say that you make this plan and you plan for Monday and you put in some family time and a walk. And Tuesday, you put in some family time and a walk. All the way through to Saturday, and you put in some family time and you're like, hey, I hear there's stretchy Saturday, so I'm just going to schedule that and either I'll catch it live or do it later. But it's going on Saturday. Okay, cool. Then do your next 3 weeks after that. Plan them all out so that you have a whole month planned and it's all written down. What you can fit in your schedule is only what you can fit in your schedule. The end. No issues. You've scheduled yourself in. You've taken time for yourself. You've taken time for your family. And because it's written down on paper and because there's no more space in those squares, you can't put anything else in there. You can't overschedule. You can't get overwhelmed. You can't squeeze one more thing. You can't say, oh, maybe I'll just, nope, doesn't fit. The end. And it's going to take some time to get used to feeling how that feels if that's not what you're used to. If it is what you're used to, absolutely great. And if it's not, get used to it, because you need balance in your life, especially with, let's say a crypto startup. It's busy. There's a lot to be done. There's a lot that needs to be done. There's a lot of responsibility. Take a step back. Figure out what's important in your life and prioritize those things. Everything else comes after. Even if it's the absolute most fun job you've ever had, you still need balance. So the other thing I want to look at really quickly here for creating balance and setting boundaries would be setting goals. So what are your goals? Corey likes to set daily goals. I'm less of a daily goal person. I do usually have a to-do list, but I do weekly goals. I like weekly goals. And then, look back on them later on in the week and say, hey, did I achieve that thing? So what are my goals for the week? What is one thing? I start with one thing. I start real simple. What's one thing I really want to do this week? What do I want to accomplish? What is one thing I need to get done by the end of the day? Because that should be at the top of my priority list. And when I look back at my week, how do I want to feel about the amount of family time and balance and, activity that I've actually had? What do I want that to look like? So thinking about all of those things and keeping it realistic too. I mean, if you're doing this schedule and you're like, yeah, I'm going to do an hour of exercise every day and I'm going to schedule it right in the middle of my day when I'm usually the absolute most productive, that's not going to work for you. So figuring that out too is also helpful. When do the things work for you, and when do the things work for the family, the people, the pets that you're trying to incorporate into your life? That's also part of balance. Because I can say, yeah, I'm going to go to the gym for an hour every morning at 5 o'clock in the morning. No, I'm not. Am I getting out of bed at 5 in the morning? No, I don't do that. I tried. It sucked. It lasted about 2 days, and I don't work like that. But if you tell me that I get to run with my kids to school in knee-deep snow, I'm all over that like a herd of turtles. So, that's a thing that I can easily incorporate in. And easiness is also part of it. If you're trying to set boundaries for the first time, if you're trying to plan your life so that you are actually a part of your own life, pick things that work for you that you would normally try to do anyway. So if you like to be active, put some activity into your commute, for example, if you can. If you can walk somewhere instead of driving, do it. It's the easiest way to get activity in. If you can, let's say you need some more family time, and it's as simple as I'll sit down with the kids while they do their homework, and maybe they don't even want to talk to me because they're too busy doing homework. Maybe I just sit and read stuff on my phone, but we're all at the table together, and we're kind of hanging out together, and we can talk if we need to, and it's time together. Maybe it's simple, like we all have breakfast together. Instead of running around like a crazy person in the morning doing I don't even know what, sit down and eat something. It doesn't have to be amazing. It can be lame. It could be a piece of toast. Sit down, eat something, talk to children, talk to family, talk to spouse, talk to pet. Whatever you have. If you have none of those things and you have a plant, I don't know, have a freaking conversation with your plant. Whatever it is you do the thing. Take the time for you and schedule that time, because if you don't schedule it, it's not happening. So that is the most important life advice I've ever had. And make it visual. So put it out in front of you on a piece of paper or on a digital schedule, however you work best. But schedule it, and schedule it with reminders. If you are the kind of person who's like, oh yeah, someone else is picking up the kids from school, and I'll hang out after when they get home from work, or when they get home, I'll stop work and hang out. And then you always work like 5 minutes later, 15 minutes later, an hour later, and suddenly it's supper time, and they're wondering where you are and why are you still stuck at your computer. Schedule it, set reminders, and then stick to it. Once you get used to it, it's easy. It's really easy to say, hey, yeah, my office hours are from 9 till 2:30. If anything is necessary outside of that, I'm happy to negotiate for once in a while, but certainly not all the time. Easy peasy, right? So that's that. And if you have, dealing with pushback can be a tricky thing. Because sometimes you are going to be and discover, to your surprise or not surprise, you may discover that you are dealing with somebody who's very manipulative, and they will try to use your feelings or their feelings to get what they want. If somebody, there are kind of two ways to look at it. If feelings come up in a conversation once you've stated your boundaries, hold those boundaries absolutely rigid, because somebody is trying to manipulate you. If they're saying, well, I don't feel like that's necessarily going to be good for us, or I'm really disappointed that blah, 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 or I don't feel like you're really committed to the project anymore. Feelings. Yeah, you have some. Cool. I see them. I respect your feelings. I'm not changing my boundaries. Be a little nicer than that, though. The attitude, you don't need to add that in, especially if somebody's trying to manipulate you. But hold firm, sit back, twiddle your thumbs. Like, nope, them's my boundaries. And if somebody, is all like, but we need you, or there's nobody else, or I wish we had, or feeling, I don't feel like whatever. I feel like your level of commitment isn't quite as high as everybody else's. My level of commitment to my family is very high. Done. There isn't a nice comeback to that. And that's something too that you'll notice if you are dealing with somebody who is trying to manipulate you by using feelings, and it's okay to care. That's the other thing. You can have perfectly rigid boundaries. It is okay to care about other people's feelings. If somebody says, I feel really disappointed, I feel kind of let down, I'm not sure you're really committed anymore, it's okay to care about that. But don't change you. Don't change your boundaries. And that is hard to learn if that's not what you're used to doing. If you're used to hearing somebody's feelings and then changing whatever because of it, that's going to be really hard. But you are not responsible for other people's feelings. You can still care, you can still be kind, you can still be polite, and you can still acknowledge those feelings. You are not responsible for them. Keep that separation. It's not personal, because, if you're working with somebody, and this is ultimately a work discussion, if you're working with somebody, you probably like them. Maybe respect them. Maybe you have, a lot of really deep feelings about the project you're working with. Maybe it's the second love of your life. But you're not responsible for the feelings of other people. You're not responsible for the reactions of other people. And you can still care about them without it being personal in the slightest. And that is something to walk away with and to practice it and practice it and practice it until it's easy. And there are going to be times when it's still not really easy, but practice it. And when you are used to it, when it becomes just that thing you do, you're going to find that a lot of the feelings of being overwhelmed or overworked or whatever start to dissipate. No matter what happens, you schedule your important stuff first. Everything else comes after. And then you stick to it. And it's not personal. And you are not responsible for how other people feel about it. They are responsible for their feelings, not you. And if they have strong feelings about you saying, hey, I want some balance and family time, if those strong feelings from them persist, and if they continue to try to manipulate you, say a week, a month down the road, then it's time to question what you're doing and why you're doing it with that particular person. Because if somebody's still trying to pressure you to change your boundaries a week or two in, I question that relationship. But that's for an entirely other discussion. I am not an expert on manipulation, on how to get out of it and how to spot it and how to stop it. I do know that if somebody comes at you with feelings and tries to use feelings to sway your decision, and those feelings are not your feelings, it's probably manipulation. So keep that in mind. Practice those boundary settings and the scheduling and all of that. If anybody has any questions, if you're running up against barriers, if you're thinking this will never work, if you need help with coming up with, I don't know, a schedule that's reasonable, you can always message me. I am not an expert, but I'd be happy to help. I am happy to help you feel balanced, refreshed, and ready to go every day. Because trust me, there is no better feeling than waking up every morning and saying, hey, I'm ready for this. I want today. I love this. So on that joyful note, I'm done for today. I'll see you tomorrow. Have a happy Wednesday. Bye-bye.